Let's move on to Rangers and Bolts. Tampa Bay with an impressive win at Amalie Arena in Game 3. Come back from 2-0 down to steal it. I should say, come back from 2-0 down to win it and avoid the Rangers stealing it. They went 3-2 with a last-minute goal from Andre Palat off a just ridiculous pass from Nikita Kucherov. And if people keep talking about that pass from Kucherov, the pass from Hedman to Kucherov at that moment of the game, you're going cross seam like that. It's such a ballsy pass. That thing gets picked off. You're looking at an on-man rush the other way with a minute left. Good God. But yeah, then the pass by Kucherov obviously is terrific. Andre Palat nets the winner, 3-2 win for the Bolts. They were minus 186 to close for Game 3. They're around minus 170 right now for Game 4. Rangers plus 150. Over under sticking at 5.5 for now. The Bolts plus 120 now on this series money line. The Rangers minus 140. Before the series started, I had said, and I'm sticking to this, I think that you kind of flipped the script on what we saw from the Rangers against the Penguins and Hurricanes, where all the Rangers were trying to do in those two series were just hang around in every game, hang around in the series. Even if they were down 3-1 in the Penguin series, even though they went down 2-0, then 3-2 in the Hurricane series, they just didn't want to be dealt the death knell of going down 3-0 or being eliminated. Obviously, they just needed to drag these series and each game out as long as possible, and then they would have a chance. And then for this series, I thought the opposite was true, where all the advantages were with the Rangers early on. They were home for the first 2 games. The Lightning were coming off 10 days of rest. The Rangers had a ton of momentum. Igor Shesterkin was in great form. Andrei Vasilevsky obviously had to try to stay in form from an incredible series against the Panthers, but then he had 10 days off. And we know that goalies, you throw them off their rhythm and it could take some time. So the Lightning getting this game, getting this to 2-1 is huge because it guarantees now a Game 5. And if they can win one of these next 2, then you're talking about a Game 6. And they're kind of doing what the Rangers did to the Hurricanes or Penguins, which is just staying alive, staying on the mat. And this team, it's going to be hard to put them away. They're the 2-time defending champs. And I think we started to see them trending up in this matchup. People keep talking about Game 3, but they found their game somewhere like maybe right after the halfway mark of Game 2. And they had a really good third period in Game 2. They just couldn't solve Shesterkin. So the rust is gone. They look like they've found their legs and they've kind of found their rhythm a little bit. They're still down 2-1. The Rangers are more likely to win the series than not, but all of a sudden the Lightning series line is looking like a decent bet.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That the rust started wearing off middle of Game 2 there. In terms of the line composition, we saw the Lightning close upwards of minus 180 there. And similar to the Edmonton game, a lot of that you're paying the premium for the team down 0-2 at home, right? So if you're a value bettor, you would have played the Rangers in that spot. But of course, that's really tough to go against the home team in that situation, and that the market is like the money is going to come in on Tampa Bay, which it did. So now looking at Game 4, we're a more reasonable line now. I think that the 0-2 premium is gone, but I thought that throughout this game, Tampa Bay was obviously the better team. I think that the right team won. I still think that there is a little bit of a premium on the line here. And of course, a lot of that has to do with, they're the champs and they're at home and all that. So I think that this will be another game where from the side, I'll probably stay away from, just because I do think that Tampa Bay, depending on where this line goes, I think that they're a little bit too expensive, but it's not enough for me to bet against them at this point. I do like the under in this game. I think that we're getting into the minus 115, minus 120 range on the under 5.5, and that's my high point now for this series. So I think that the under 5.5 would be the way that I'd be looking here.
Yeah, I think so. Just talking about the total, and let's talk about the goaltenders for a second. Igor Shesterkin has been terrific the entire series. And Game 3 was probably his best game. even though he lost, his 3 goals allowed on 51 shots. 2 of the goals came on power plays. The other one, like I said, was on an otherworldly play from Kucherov to Palat. On the other hand, Andrei Vasilevsky struggled through those first 2 games. He had like something like an 855 save percentage. And he was really good in game 2 as well. Didn't let up a goal at 5-on-5, 2 power play goals, one off Mika Zibanejad one-timer and one off of Mika Zibanejad one-timer that turned into a rebound, and Chris Kreider was there to score. The thing is, like, Shesterkin, it's hard to imagine Shesterkin playing any better than he played in game 3. On the other hand, it does look like Vasilevsky is now rounding into form. So there's room for him to grow. Whereas like we probably, like, this is Shesterkin. He's at his peak. How long he could stay there, who knows? He's one of the best goalies in the world. But Vasilevsky is now climbing towards his peak too. So I think the under here is definitely in play. I think if you want to bet this game to go to overtime, I think that is going to be a valuable bet as well, because of the goaltending matchup, the way these two teams play, they're close to mirror images of each other. I think, especially on the power play, the way that they like Panarin and Kucherov basically play the same role. Stamkos and Zibanejad play the same role, looking for the one-timer. Fox and Hedman play the same role. And then Perry and Kreider, very similar roles. So it's just, you can just see it being a rock fight. So I don't think it's a terrible betting on it to go to overtime if you're into like those kind of props. But my favorite bet here is to back the Lightning to come back to win the series. They are the better team on paper. The goaltending should end up being a wash from this point on. You'd expect Vasilevsky to get to at least close to where Shesterkin is. And we haven't seen Igor relent at all since basically game 5 of the Penguin series. At some point, you'd have to imagine Vasilevsky will win a game over him. And that should knot the series up. And like I said, I think as the longer the series goes, it benefits Tampa immensely, because that rest angle will finally pay off, right? Like we talked about how the rest was not good for them in game 1 and for game 2. But if it gets to 6 and 7, you're talking about a team that has played the maximum amount of games in the playoffs in the Rangers against a team that had a 10-day break before getting its legs back under them. So, I don't mind the Lightning on the series line at all.